Hey.
And we're already hearing from Circumstances. Circum, thank you so much for your name this morning. Add a little brightness to
that was worth a giggle.
The quality of the show. Mr. Circum, glad you're here. Or Ms. Circum, glad you're here. I'm not sure if that's a gender-specific name, whoever you are out there. Thanks. Come on in, everybody. We see you out there. We know you're there. Turn those computers up. We're here to talk about what we love and to show off some of our stuff. So it's the Sunday Funnies. Mr. works for Mr. Circum, Mr. Stances. We're glad you're here, buddy. Thanks for listening in. This is the Sunday Funnies. We're going to try to put the fun back in funny books. We might have more people join in. I sent out a bunch of links this morning, and so far there's just the 5 of us. So we'll see what happens.
It may get worse.
Everybody else here, except for me, got up much earlier than I did. So.
No, just a different time zone for the most of us. Actually, all of us.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Running the opening, and then we'll get things underway. Here we go. That's right. We go right from hot stuff straight to Omaha the Cat Dancer. We have that pendulum swing. Whoosh, whoosh. How's everybody doing this morning? Chat is open. Mr. Stances is in the house. Circumstances. Mr. Works. LOL. We're here to talk about funny books. Nita wants me to start using titles for the episodes because they seem to help people decide to watch or not. So I said, what for? So that's the theme of the show. What for? What do we do this for?
Well, good question. Remind me again.
I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I've been doing alternative and independent comics for decades. Done just about everything in this business that you can imagine. Coordinated conventions, retailed, drew, wrote, produced, done it all. So except for work for the big 2. Almost got this close a couple times, but didn't quite make it. Whew. Sometimes I get lucky. Also joining me today is Mr. Mike Jimmy. Mike Jimmy, introduce yourself.
What up, lovelies? I am Mike Jimmy de Bruin of Fairies and Inns. I've been a comic creator for the last 5 years and the creator of La Foncora. My publishing company, Fairies and Inns, now covers 6 titles, so we're growing fast. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is the animated pilot for Life on Korra, because I decided that I could be an even bigger masochist and start animating as well.
There you go. Also joining me today is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. My latest tome is this book about my visits to Jack Kirby's house in the late 80s and 90s. And with the book, you get a DVD of me talking with Jack in the studio, and you can order that through me. I also am launching my comic book Hatch #2 shortly on Indiegogo. That's the cover artwork from it. And I also publish Comics Unlimited magazine, which you can get through Amazon. Issue 10 is on sale now, and I'm busy working on issue 11, along with everything else that I'm up to.
Mm-hmm. Marv's in the house. Marv, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm RV. I'm a comic book creator, and I'm from Portugal. I'm creator and writer and artist of The Sin Killer. Coming soon, Gabriel Reaper of Souls, and I'm one of the co-hosts of Sketchy Saturdays at 10 a.m. EST every Saturday. So thank you for having me, Randy.
Always welcome.
Great to be here.
Also with us today is Mr. Russ Leach. Russ, introduce yourself.
Hello there. I'm Russ Leach. I'm a comic book artist from the UK. Been around a bit, been in production for 35 plus years. Focused really solely on comics about 2010. Since then, managed to do work for Marvel and DC. Done quite a bit of Doctor Who, just coming off the end of a Doctor Who run, on the front end of a Batman run for Europe. And I've got my own book, Only Death Can Save Us, and you can find all that out on my website.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Mitch, Brian, Scott, Joe, Brian, Justin, Luke may join us eventually.
Woohoo!
Or not. Anyways.
Ooh, yeah.
Or not. So what's up? Anybody want to start?
I saw a post this morning. Well, it wasn't a post. I was scrolling on YouTube, and have you seen that comment that Mac Deodato did about the new MCU Namor, about his shape, comparing his shape as 60 years old with the MCU actor?
No.
Yeah, I didn't see
No.
If you
that.
saw it,
No, we
Yeah.
didn't.
Hasn't he got isn't he got his back out because he's got quite a muscular back?
yeah, Deodato is a martial artist. He's 60 years old, and he drew
Right, okay.
he drew Namor for many years, and he said how it's possible for a guy who swims all time having that kind of body, because swimmers are thinner, muscular, but thinner, ripped, and the guy is just bulk, not quite something that reminds of a swimmer. So I thought that was funny from his part, because he's in the business, and not only in the business, but he's in shape. Actually, better than me. They're 48 almost. That was funny.
I'm surprised.
They called that person a unicorn.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't look like a dolphin. Actually, But there you go.
Somebody who's in this business and in shape, that's a battle all in itself. I'll tell you, he is a superhero.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, and I share it on my Facebook. So yeah.
Cool. I've been watching She-Hulk. I've been enjoying that. All of these sad people talking about the wokeness is just, I don't know. I just shake my head sometimes and go, it's funny. The show is funny. It's meant to be funny, and
I thought it had bombed after the first.
Yeah,
one.
nobody's watching it.
Nobody's watching it. No, I think what it comes down to, I think there's a lot of extreme arguments left and right, and this has been going on for some time now.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, so much of current writing sucks. Okay, and I can also talk about this from a female perspective to a degree, because I sit and watch a lot of stuff with my wife and my daughter. Okay,
Same here.
And they saw a little bit of that, and their eyes rolled into the top of their heads, and it got turned off. So there you go.
Oh.
I mean, it's a personal opinion of theirs, not
Of
mine.
She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rest of it, I mean, like I say, the writing is quite often awful, so don't bother watching. But a very good example is like something called Midsummer Murders, which has got the highest kill count of any series, as far as I'm aware. And it's supposed to be a quiet Agatha Christie-esque sort of like murder mystery thing that they do in this sort of like quiet area of the country, which is completely made up, but it's kind of like the Chilterns or something like that. And there's lots of different villages, and they come up with all these ideas. And we watched, like, because what we'll do is there's nothing to watch on the TV, so we're looking back catalogue to see what there is. So we've managed to get our way through 20 series. Okay, they're only like 5 or 6 episodes per series. We got our way through 20, and they changed the lead actor halfway through, which is fine because he did a really good job. And we got to the 20th series or something, and it was noticeable how the writing started to go downhill. And we've now turned it off before we've got to the end of the 21st series. It's just this crap. It's utter crap. And And my son said this really well. He said, "You don't notice good writing, because none of us are. I don't consider myself a writer. Certainly not a screenplay writer. Okay."
Mhm.
And he said, "You don't notice good writing. You only notice bad writing."
That's true.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter whether there was woke in it or not, or whether it was or wasn't woke. Didn't make any difference. It was just crap. It had turned to rubbish, and we'd been really enjoying it. And it was so obvious that they'd just taken on a bunch of writers who were rubbish. So we're not watching it anymore.
Yeah,
I think I watched the first episode in about 1985 and thought that's enough for me.
Oh, well, you see, the thing is I'm very shallow. You know that. Everyone on the audience knows that. I like a good explosion, but I like it. I'm not big on sort of murder mysteries and stuff. But the odd one, if it's very gentle, and I can sit and watch it with my wife, because she's not necessarily going to sit and watch every Michael Bay movie with me. Do you know what I mean? She's not interested. Okay, I know this might be going into some gender stereotypes, but it's just the way the world is. Okay, I like a big explosion and an alien, and she's not so keen. Okay, she likes Coronation Street. So there you go. That's the way it works. But we do like to watch things together. Okay, and so we find things like that, like murder mysteries and what have you, to watch together. And the writing was okay. The characterization was good. There was a little underlying of a little bit of odd, dark humor to it, a little bit of sarcasm. It was great fun. It was easy to watch. We watched it, but it got to a point where it was unwatchable because the writing was so bad.
Yeah.
And it's not the only program to be doing it, or film. It's everywhere.
We've been watching Cracker from 1996.
Oh God, that's from a while ago, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
The writing
I haven't made my way
Have
through
you seen that, Randy? Have you seen Cracker?
They had it over here on BBC America, but I've never sat through an entire season of it.
Really
or
is
episode
good.
of it.
It's
really
quite
is
dark, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is finding things to watch that aren't dark.
There was another series about the police, wasn't there, recently on BBC? I can't remember what it was called.
There's always a police.
Yeah,
film,
but
right?
this is really well written. It's really
All right.
It's that good. I can't remember.
Well, it beats out the majority of American cop shows.
Yeah, they all seem to be the same thing. Do you know what I mean? They're all either these sort of really badly
serial
done
killers,
serial killer things, or about the science of detective work, which often, especially when you've got a bona fide like chemist sitting in the room with you, like laughs at half the stuff that comes on the television. My son's just sitting there going, "What a load of crap that is! That doesn't work." So that doesn't work.
What's the shield?
Or they're just so awfully dark, all the same, that you just don't. I just find it's just exhausting to watch them.
Yeah.
The show is great.
My wife works in a lab, and she likes to point all of that stuff out.
Yeah.
She still sits and watches all the CSI shows.
We watched Baghdad Cafe for the 14th time a few days ago. Have you seen that? That's a brilliant film.
Oh, and I watched Batman for the 14th time the other day. So there you go. But it's just I like Michael Keaton.
I want to watch Batman. Let's put it that way.
All right, yeah. I know the one. Yeah. No, but we're watching this.
Okay, I want to watch Babylon 5. I've got the entire set, but we don't get around to that.
I've got the animated series as well, which is really cool.
All right,
classic stuff.
But we turn all this round to the subject that we should be on, which is comics.
Yeah.
Okay. And it really is the same. It really is the same deal. Do you like my segue there? It really is the same deal. It's about the writing. A lot of people scream and shout about culture and some kind of a war that's going on, and there is an aspect to that. You can't deny it. Okay. But at the same time, it's amazing what you would put up with if the writing was really good. You know,
I think they've forgotten that we want to be entertained. I think is the point.
Yeah, want to be
entertained. Very true.
But it's not just about poking these, ideologically, or if you've got ideas about how the world should be or about how people should act, and I'm going to pop that in there as a writer as well, because that's been going on for ages, and it's okay. But it's like if that's not wrapped in a really great story that you're invested in, okay, then it doesn't get you anywhere. We sat down because of the lack of Midsummer. We sat down and watched the recent Prime Witness. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's about finding out how people died, and some of that was a little bit over the top, and there were a few aspects to it because it was talking about a health passport in it, and so they'd obviously written that during the whole sort of lockdown era, and it was old before it got to the screen because all that all that passport stuff has been thrown in the bin by most people now. But outside of that, and a few points where both me and my wife kind of went, oh, and groaned, we didn't care because the story actually had been written well. A couple of series back, they were turning a bit crappy, but now they've really turned it around, and the writing is so much better. And so there are the odd things that do stick in the craw, and you kind of ignore it because the writing's so good, and you're into the characterization, and it's working really well. The actors are doing well, and the direction is good. It's like my son says, you only notice these things, and even in comics, you only notice it when it's badly done.
When it's really bad,
yeah.
When it's badly done. Yep. Well, I was just going to say that's the whole point behind Rod Serling and Twilight Zone. We talked about this before on the show and on Dispatches. When it's wrapped in entertainment, and it's well written, everything hinges on that writing room.
Exactly.
If that writing room isn't up to snuff, or the thing that's got me with the Hulk series, the She-Hulk series, I should say, is that they had a quote from people that have worked in that writing room, and they've said, we don't know hardly anything about that lawyering stuff, so she's going to be out of the courtroom most of the time. It's like, why are you there? Why are you there? Why are you there writing? You need to go and need to be replaced by somebody who knows.
Oh, in all fairness, though,
written law television before.
In all fairness, most superhero writers don't know much about superheroing.
They don't know much about anything, really.
No, but it's like that's the whole point, and that is the argument about how you choose people to do certain things. Is that it's about being an actor, is about acting. Being a writer is about writing about things. Yes, go and do your research. But you don't have to be the thing that you're writing about. Just go and research it well, okay? And then you can produce a great script.
But in college and in the English courses, they're constantly beaten into them. Write what you know, write what you know, right? No. And all they know are pizza parlors and city life and talking to their girlfriends.
That expression, write what you know, includes as a meta research. That's what it means. It means go out and research the stuff. Write what you know. Write what you know you have gone out and researched and found out, as well as your experiences from life. Okay,
right, Glenn? Right, Glenn?
Yes.
And all the books that you've written?
Yeah. You've got to mix it in with, I've done a lot of research in my time on lots of subjects, as you probably know, and I don't think I became any of those things I was looking at. Hopefully not. But I did go to places and research it and get all the books, and was lucky enough to meet people who were involved in certain parts of history. And put it all together, and then write what you know.
From there.
From that research. Meet those people. Travel, meet those people.
Do the hard work.
Exactly, but I find that the best part. The worst part is having to write it down and make it into some sort of sense. The best part for me is getting on an aircraft and going across the world and seeing something and meeting somebody.
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily all research per se. It's interest and meeting, people who've done remarkable things in history, and then writing about it.
A lot of people nowadays don't know how to keep learning.
Yeah.
You never learn how to learn.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, like you get your subjects in school, you go over them for like 6 weeks or however long the subject takes. You get your exam and you forget about it and you go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
There is no learning how to learn. You don't learn. They don't teach interest in things.
I don't think you can teach interest, really, though, can you? You can't teach somebody to be interested in something.
I do think it can be programmed out of you, though, to become docile and to not care, sit around the house, be be a couch potato. There's a huge difference between being at an exotic locale and seeing a documentary on National Geographic Channel.
Yes.
Just a huge, it's night and
But
day.
I think that's down to the individual as well, because
True.
the story of my trip to Easter Island was sparked by my teacher, Mr. Clarkson, the English teacher, way back in 1967 or something. And he read a book to the class called Kon-Tiki Expedition, where he and some colleagues were convinced that the South Americans then could go west across the Pacific to Pitcairn and all those places. And Pitcairn and Easter Island people say they don't like that, and they disagree with that. So he built a balsa wood boat. Tor Heyerdahl, the guy who wrote Kon-Tiki, he built a balsa wood boat, and he only made it the way that they could have done in 1500. He didn't use advanced tools and things,
right?
And he did it. He got it on the Gulf Stream, and it took him 120 days at sea, and they got to Easter Island and around there. So he proved that they could have done it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Clarkson told us about that, and it stuck in my mind for a long, long time. You know the story. I was 50. I was single. I had some money. What haven't I done? So I got on an aircraft and I went to Easter Island. I went to the remotest point on Earth to fulfill that kind of interest all that time that I'd had. And
that island had to be populated somehow.
Yeah, but they think they came from the west.
Okay.
From Pitcairn and that place, from Tonga and all that Western Pacific area. But now, I mentioned this to the guy whose place I was staying at, Napo, he was called, and he said he was 100% Rapa Nui, and I said there's some dispute about that, and he got a bit testy about that, so I came away from that. And I've just found out that they've now done more research, and the 17% DNA is South American.
Yeah, it's amazing what DNA will find out, isn't it?
Yeah. So Tor Heyerdahl was right, and they don't like Tor Heyerdahl in Rapa Nui. They despise him because he was trying to say that half of you came from South America, and and now it's been proven right. So, but yeah, the interesting thing for me is. Like I say, I've met astronauts who walked on the moon and all this kind of thing, but you have to go and do it. And people say to me, "Well, I can't." They say they couldn't afford the plane ticket, or and all that kind of thing. Well, save up. That's all I've done. I'm not a millionaire or anything. I've just put my finances and efforts into different areas. And they all say, "Oh, I wish I could go to America." Well, it's still there. It's always going to be there. There's only you not stopping you. Christopher Columbus got there, and he didn't know it was there. So
he thought the world was shaped like a pear. I mean,
yeah. Well, it is pear-shaped at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite. Yeah.
But,
actually, it's shaped more like a potato, but that's just getting technical.
A large turd.
Yeah, I've said this before. The opportunities to do most of, you can't go to the moon because there's no vehicle and there's all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But most of the opportunities, I feel, are there. You've got to take the opportunities. And I've said on this panel before that I've missed more opportunities than I've taken, but I think I've taken a lot more than a lot of people. I've been fortunate, and I'm grateful for that, But I've got the interest. And getting back to what Mike Jimmy was saying about teaching people how to learn, I don't think you can do that. I think it's the individual.
To an extent. So
yeah, well, there's always little nuances in there, but I think
they have to have that spark, that
you
prompt in order to go out there and learn.
You can certainly focus on teaching critical thought rather than parroting everything you're being told. There is a difference.
Unfortunately, nowadays the education system, at least in America, is mainly based on memorizing dates and things. They don't teach you critical thinking. And now we have an entire generation that can't critical think.
That's the clue about the word education. When people say somebody needs educating, what that really means is that they think they should think the way they do.
Yeah.
That's what education means.
They need a solid slap. That's what they mean by I'm gonna learn you.
Right.
Yeah, you will learn this. You will agree. But it's all interesting, it's all grist for the mill, isn't it? It's all really good to look at.
Right.
circumstances says the actor had to learn how to swim for the movies. So it makes sense.
Well, that's awkward.
There you go. Yeah, I've been enjoying the tears over She-Hulk. I just think it's goofy. So, and as long as you look at it as being goofy, it's. But then again, I watch the Poker Channel, so WPT channel all the time. Especially late at night when I don't want to think and want to watch how people react, I'll watch the WPT or turn on YouTube for that. Lots of little bits of brainlessness, fail videos, and that kind of stuff because I don't want to think when I'm getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah, chewing gum.
Exactly. So I'm waiting to binge it, but I've memed the tears. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
What up? What up? Atrocity Press Max in the house. Good to see you there, Max. Thanks for being there. You need to come on sometime soon. What up, Atrocity? That's his hard pass on the Culture Wars. Yeah, that's two. Not much Sunday morning. Yep, not much Sunday morning. The best writers. The best writers' room is a mix. Some of the comic knowledge, experience writing it, outside writers with different views, and since it's a law show, have a paralegal or two, LOL, to consult. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
what they really need to do.
Yeah, what you need to do is you need to get yourself into a situation where you have enough information in that. I believe in that environment to have enough information to write the show, write the script, write the story. Which is what we're always going on about here, story. Write the story that you need, and then you pass that by any expertise that's required. And that might then come back to you and say, all right, I need to change the story point slightly because the expertise is telling me that item that I'm putting in there doesn't work with the way that I've made the story work. So I have to work that around a bit. That's what editing's all about as well. Coming back and letting you know you've got yourself into a dead end there. That doesn't work for the story. I mean, the last one I was watching of that Midsummer Murders I was talking about, there were like several dead ends that just didn't get resolved, and it's like that's not acceptable. When I consider what I'd been watching for the previous series, where everything was wrapped up at the end, everything was done, and that's why it made it enjoyable. It was just a nice little sort of, self-contained little story that you enjoyed, went along, and that was the end of it. But it was just rubbish. It was just really badly written.
Yeah, I get furious when loose ends aren't tied up in a story.
Yeah.
Oh man, because a lot of times that's what has you invested is the mystery of the loose end, and when they don't pay off, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah,
exactly. They're using that to get you in, or they're using that, for instance, in a detective story. They're using it to make you think about, oh, did they do it? Did they do it? That's what whodunit's all about, and that's why there has been this drive over the last, say, 20 years, and it's got more and more because it's an easy way to resolve an issue, and that is bunging a piece of evidence in the last 10 minutes of a program. Now, unfortunately, Star Trek used to do that because they used to get to the end and go, oh my God, Captain, how do I do this? And it's like, oh, I've got one of these goofy things. And it meant that the whole episode was okay, but that was kind of fun and it was kind of okay.
Yeah, I think when
you're watching a murder mystery and you're following it along and you're trying to work out who actually did the deed, and then suddenly they'll say, oh, this half sister from Kentucky,
well, they do that with
and they're the one that did it.
They do that with Doctor Who with his magic screwdriver, whatever it's called.
They do that quite a lot in there as well.
I think that's a device they did specifically for that purpose.
Yeah, there's also the exception to the rule. There's always an exception to the rule. And if you watch Twin Peaks and David Lynch's stuff, that's fantastic. That has so many avenues that he doesn't go down because he either was never going to, or he doesn't have the time.
But Twin Peaks, that was the whole point of the show. I mean, I know I'm possibly being a bit specific here. I'm just talking about detective whodunits, okay, where you're given the opportunity to have all the facts laid out in front of you, see the reactions of the actors and the scene and the scenarios, and work it out for yourself. That's kind of the fun of a whodunit. So for them to just turn up in the last 10 minutes and say, oh, this person's got these financial records that you could never have worked out earlier. And that means that this person is the biggest suspect. And then you chase them down and find out they did it. And it's like, that's crap.
You know what?
I want to be able to work this one out myself, and there's no way that I can work that out if you're putting information in the last third or quarter of the story.
It's cheating,
The problem is that there's so few writers anymore who've actually sat down and read Agatha Christie and Earl Stanley Gardner, and who grew up watching Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. You know what it is.
Can I just answer a question there from Facebook users about burial chambers on Easter Island? To my knowledge, there are no burial chambers on Easter Island, so the answer would be no. Those Moai and Ahu are not burial chambers. They're just there. They're not.
So
they're actually incredibly large statues that have been buried up to their heads.
I was about to say those big heads aren't heads, are they? They're actually not statues.
Yeah.
Did they actually get buried on purpose, or has the land come up over time?
Both. Some are buried and some of the land is picked up on it. But they're also, most of them are still at the quarry up near Tongarika, a place in the north called Tongarika, right. And they are, half of them are still attached to the quarry wall, and there are but these things.
How on earth did they move them?
Well, when people say they rolled them on logs like they did the pyramids and dragged them and walked them, when you see these things, some of them are 60 feet high. They weigh 60 tons, and there's 800 of them all around the edge of the island.
I don't believe anybody rolled anything on logs back then.
Exactly.
I think it's hard to try. There you go.
There was one statue that's at a place called Ranakau, which is at the southern end. It's a big volcano, a big caldera, and this thing was the biggest one. It was 65 feet high, this thing, and they're supposed to have walked it or dragged it on pieces of wood 7 miles from the quarry. 7 miles. So they've walked this thing with ropes, just pulling it, walked it, right? And it's 7 miles. And this thing was on the edge of the caldera. And there was a woman, I'm going to research this woman, she's called Routledge, and she's a British English woman. And she was there in 1915. And then she went back, I think it was 1919, I'm not sure. And it wasn't there. It had fallen in the sea. But it was 65 feet high, this thing. And she saw it, and then she went away and came back, and it wasn't there again. So in my book, I've put, I've made a joke of it and said, was it pushed or did he jump? But it's in the water, and there's no way. When you see these things, there's no way they were moved.
No,
walking them up, whatever.
That you could walk them with a group of people and ropes.
No, because the one they proved it with was made out of papier-mâché. It wasn't 65 feet high and didn't weigh 65 tons. It weighed about half,
From what I can tell, pretty much every one of these experiments where they've tried to reproduce what the ancients did, none of them actually work.
It's like the pyramids. They can't build it. They can't do the pyramids.
No, none of them
Stonehenge
actually
is the
work.
same way. No one knows how they.
Well, the crazy thing about Stonehenge is half of it is concrete now, isn't it? Didn't they rebuild it in the 50s or something? They did something with it in the 50s. Like there's pictures of black and white pictures of trucks and stuff, and the rocks coming out of the ground and people just shoving stuff in. It's like the Druids are all going down there and praising to it. It's all
the thing about the pyramids is that a lot of people don't seem to realize or haven't researched is that in the big pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, there are 2.5 million blocks. 2.5 that point on that was don't go to a point, but the height of that pyramid is bigger than a Saturn V rocket. It's 400 feet high. Saturn V rocket is 360 feet high. Now, the thing that people miss because they don't research and they watch some silly program, what they don't understand is that each one of those blocks, and there's 2.5 million, and don't forget there's 2 other pyramids with that guy as well, right? I think so. Just push them to the side. They don't realize that those blocks each weigh at least 2.5 tons and had to be cut in a quarry 400 miles away. They don't know that bit. And when they put them together, you can't get a piece of paper between them.
Isn't it supposed to be the case that they were supposed to put one in place every minute or something as well to make it work?
It's 367 an hour. Perfectly in place. And don't forget that inside the pyramid, it's all cut out in tunnels. So it's like a Rubik's cube or a type of thing where you have to fit it together perfectly. And it's to within 1 degree of what was north.
How big is the stone above? Is it above the king's chamber or the queen's chamber? There's this
it weighs about 500 tons or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just, it's fascinating, but there's no way they dragged them along.
Just like Shazam and Captain Marvel, it was ready to drop as soon as they gave out power.
There's definitely something weird going on, and the fact that if you look at the standard of building, it seems to get worse.
Yeah.
The younger it gets. So these pyramids were just fantastic.
Well,
apparently.
and don't forget, they were built. They were all built within a couple of 100 years, so nobody could build them. Then they built all these things, and then they can't build them since.
No. And what about the Sphinx as well? The erosion on the Sphinx suggests that it might actually be 20,000 years old.
That's right. Yeah.
Not 3,
because that guy, this Hawass guy who's in charge of all that, he won't allow archaeologists to go in there and do a simple core test. Yeah. Like they do on the moon. They did that on the moon. They knock those pipes in, and they have a core test, and they can tell the different ages through the.
Well, they're just afraid. They're just afraid what they're going to find.
Yeah. Well, they know what
they'll find isn't going to fit their norm.
I think they know.
They're going to find Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby was wrong. They're going to find that wall with that hand drawing on it.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Well,
but it's
that's
something that's. Go ahead, Mitch.
One thing I've noticed is that doing research. There's that word again. Ancient civilizations were a lot more technologically advanced than we give them credit for.
Oh yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We think from our modern eyes that they were primitive and savage. No, they were. They invented math. They were able to look at the stars and tell what day it was, like the exact date. So
and you're talking extremely complicated math, a lot harder than what you would get in most high school classes.
I forget the name of the tribe, but there's a tribe in Africa, and they worship a star, and it's called Potolo. And they talk in their dances and their songs and their history. They talk about Potolo being a double star, a binary star, two in orbit around each other. And these guys were talking about this in their scripts 10,000 years ago. And it was only like 1957 that somebody with a telescope said, "Oh, look, Potolo, it's two stars." What a coincidence. These guys knew this. And I just think it's
bonkers.
It is bonkers, yeah. And with the James Webb showing us what is it now, 1 trillion galaxies. 1 trillion, and each one has 1 trillion stars in, and most of those stars have a planet around them, and people still think that we're the only thing floating around in space. I find that really scary.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really into this kind of stuff because I watch too much YouTube, but they figure everything runs on a 12,000-year cycle.
Yeah.
And that there's been at least 6 extinction level events on Earth to knock everybody back
is
pretty
it
much
12,
to what we consider the Stone Age level of civilization.
Is it 24? It's the wobble, isn't it? What's it called? The precession, where the wobble of the Earth goes around. It means that it. I can't remember exactly what it means, but as you go around the sun, no, it's not. So as you go around the sun at an angle, there's like a little wobble in it.
Yeah,
and that wobble creates a full circle after 24,000 years. And it's those 24,000 year loops that are apparently what this theory is to where things supposedly happen.
Well, they're worried now that the poles shift every 12,000 and that the Earth uprights itself, turns at a 90-degree angle.
And we're approaching that.
And we're there now. Yeah,
that's what caused the flood.
That was 6,000 years ago. That was the Noah event.
According to the Bible.
According to there's a lot of other cultures that have flood myths.
Yeah, not according to the Sumerians. The Sumerians was a lot longer ago.
That's also the thing. They're starting to look back on everybody's history, and a lot of these myths can be tied back to scientific events. Yeah, that they're sitting there going, they're looking at the big thing right now. There's a bunch of guys out in New Mexico that are looking at all the hieroglyphs that were painted into the walls and going, that's a mini Nova. That's this, and that's the Aurora coming all the way down to New Mexico, and
the guy that the geologist that did the work on the Sphinx on the erosion for the Sphinx. His view of it is that it is a lot older now. When he first came up with the figures, he was saying it was like somewhere between 8 and 12 because he knew that he was going to get a hard time from mainstream archaeology.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's ended up saying it's probably more somewhere between 20 and 30. And what his view is that he thinks it's more likely that the event that effectively destroyed any civilization that had created that Sphinx prior to our current civilizations was probably some kind of burst from the sun, some kind of solar flare.
Yeah.
And that those are his perceptions of it. So there are plenty of scientists that aren't, screaming it's aliens, that are coming up with some quite wild and wacky theories.
Or it's climate change.
Yeah, that are based in some real science.
It is.
Gets pretty fascinating when you get into it, but it has nothing to do, or almost nothing to do with comics.
Come on. I said Kirby was in the center of the...
If you want to link it with comics, Randy, and Kirby, because he's the best as we know.
Yeah.
Don't forget this. Don't forget this. Jack Kirby wrote a story in 1958 about the face on Mars. And it was only and then in 1976, 20 years later, Viking landed, and before it landed, it photographed the surface, and there was the face on Mars. If that guy isn't plugged into, the source, then nobody
plugged
was.
into the universe, isn't he?
He was an alien. That explains it.
No, he wasn't an alien. He was. There's a great line on Close Encounters, isn't there, when they're coming out? When they land and they come all coming out, and there's a guy, and he says, he turns to this other guy, and he says, Einstein was right, and the other guy says Einstein was probably one of them.
It was probably one of them. It's good.
So it's in French.
There you go.
But it was I was at the Louvre a couple of years ago, and they had a comic expedition called Archaeology and Bubbles, meaning text bubbles.
Cool.
And it goes through so many concepts and stuff based on all this.
Let me blow that up. Turn that back around. Yeah.
Ooh, that's beautiful artwork.
Yeah. So this
is that Wally Wood? No.
Let me check.
No,
almost looks like a wood face.
Giancarlo Alessandrini and
obviously I was
Alfredo
wrong.
Castelli. It's
there you go.
Italian.
Italian. All right.
Yeah, that one was Italian, but it's only French, so I can't read it. But I was super interested.
Oh yeah.
And a ton of research from early artists.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
And of course, more modern things.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Great.
There is one in there that I would love to show off because it is so incredibly detailed. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Is that Bilal?
Wow.
Philippe Druil and Michel Damouf.
Wasn't that far off. Yeah. Beautiful. That's the stuff that you'd find in Metal Hurlet.
And of course, Tarzan.
There you go.
Wow. This book is an inspiration.
Sweet.
I think they had this exposition for like 3 months. So, and that was back in 2018. So it's gone now, but
it's a John Buscema Tarzan cover. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Wow.
Classic stuff.
Great stuff.
Who's your favorite, Marv? Your favorite artist? Comic artist?
Ah, man. Everything from Silver Age. Start with Buscema, going to Sal Buscema, his brother, and Gene Colan, Al Williamson, Bernie Wrightson, all those guys, the best of the best. Of course, Kirby. But I didn't like Kirby when I was a kid. My father has a bunch of Machine Men. I loved Machine Men when I was a kid. But the other stuff that my dad had at the time, I never liked it. I don't know why. But then I had to grow up and be an adult, fully a grown adult, and understand about comics to understand Kirby. I think that happens a lot with everybody from what I've seen. But yeah, Machine Man was my favorite Kirby stuff when I was a kid. I really enjoyed that. Magic.
Randy, just to finish off, can I just show you this?
Sure.
Just to interrupt Mark's thought there. This is Mark's thought. This is me on Easter Island. This shows you how big these things are. These Moai. I'm 6'1", and this half of this guy is still buried.
Yeah. They're gigantic.
Amazing.
So go and have a look.
You're 170, 175, Len?
Whatever 6'1" is, 180, I think.
6 feet is
180.
180.
Yeah,
6'1". Okay.
Yeah, like 185.
Something around there.
Yeah, like me.
You would be
Wow.
You would be eye level for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, you're to me.
Mitch, your favorites. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? My all-time favorite artist of all time has got to be Richard Corbin. Close seconds, Bernie Wrightson. Then you have like Sam Keith, Kelly Jones, you know all that, the 90s kind of, darker artists.
Yeah, you have a couple of old EC covers on your back wall. Any of those guys?
Yes. I don't know why I completely forgot those. It's too early for me. So, Jack Davis was probably my all-time favorite from EC.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Graham Ingalls, who in my opinion is like the ultimate horror artist for comic books.
By far one of the best comic inkers in the business.
Yeah. It's just so fluid. So what's the term?
There you go.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Is that a Plug cover?
I got this one here in Portugal. Sorry?
20.
This is a full comic. I got it here in Portugal. There's a comics website called We Are Comics, and I got this one for $6. 1974.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, I got it for $6.
Yeah.
We Are Comics.
Wow.
Great. Yeah, they are great. That's
absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you just had that. The guys that I like are all the guys I didn't like growing up. Right now, Lee Elias, Frank Robbins, Kirby, that have their own unique look. I even appreciate Ross and Drew, and I've been looking a lot at Gil Kane lately. Just some great, unbelievable stuff. All the stuff that used to grate on me when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even the later Gil Kane work, when he was using a heavy marker, you go through and just see the basic shapes piled on top of one another. It's just amazing to look at.
Fabulous Gil Kane, wasn't he?
Incredibly skilled.
For me, Ross Andrew is the best comic. Is the best Spider-Man artist, in my opinion. Because the dynamics.
Yeah,
Ross Andrew is.
In my opinion, his Spider-Man doesn't come close to his Wonder Woman. Now, he was on Wonder Woman for many years and did some incredibly tender work on that title. Just some great stuff. It's a beautiful fantasy. Right during that period when they didn't really know what to do with her before they tried to Emma Peel her. And while the code was in full effect and she was running around with unicorns and genies and Wonder Girl and Wonder Tot and all of those, Andrew was really big, did a lot of that material back then. And a lot of it is just incredible to sit there and look at. Just beautiful stuff. Very, very fantasy oriented, very, very whimsical, lighthearted stuff. You can't read it with the same sensibilities that you read most of the comics since the 80s. You just have to put your brain on hold and just enjoy it and for what it is. It's like reading the old Golden Age material. It's just a lot of that stuff is so amazing. You can't not read it, but it's a whole different type, a whole different field in the comics that are coming out today. Just so that in a lot of ways, so much better. The more unrealistic, the better to me. So give me the old,
more dynamic if it's unrealistic. It'd be more.
Yeah.
They've gotten Kirby brought in a lot of those dynamics, and that it bled into DC. But a lot of that is very hard Kirby influence in what was selling. It's back in the 60s, those dynamic poses, and Gil Kane was really knocking it out, and Carmen Infantino were really knocking it out of the park at that point, doing a lot of really imaginative stuff. The old Adam Stranges that Murphy Anderson inked over top of Carmine Infantino are just impeccable, just incredible stuff. And those were well.
Is that
written.
a woman?
Pardon?
Carmen Infantino Carmen Infantino is a woman?
No, Carmine Infantino was a guy. Yeah, Carmine. Yeah.
He was head honcho at DC for a while.
Yes, he was. But there's a lot of that Adam Strange material was written by Gardner Fox, who had written a bunch of pulp science fiction before that.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of that influence. Who, Gardner Fox?
Yeah, he came up with Batman's origin.
Did he?
Yeah.
Back in the 60s?
No, the 30s. He wrote the what issue was it of a detective where had like a 2-page.
I know he wrote most of the. I know he wrote most of the Justice Society stories as well, from All Star Comics. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Gardner was pretty influential, along with Schwartz, for the starting the Silver Age over at DC, writing wise. Adam Strange, the early Flashes, the Green Lanterns. Green Lantern was Julie Schwartz, though. That was right off of Lensman from E. Doc Smith. Just some great stuff back then.
Detective 33 was the first appearance of Batman's origin.
Okay. Actually, I thought that was Batman 1 where they showed it.
No, they just Batman 1 was the first time you found out that Batman was Bruce Wayne, because it's like the twist ending of the original story. Because the whole story, he's just kind of palling around with Commissioner Gordon on the murder case. Then at the end, he's kind of like, I'm bored. I'm going to go home. Then it shows him, going to his penthouse, because he had a penthouse back then, and he steps out of a closet. He's Batman. It's like, oh, he's been Batman the whole time. There's multiple collections that have the original Batman story in it. It's actually not that, not as, it's early Batman, so it's fairly dark, but it's, it was actually, I think, pretty well written. Of course, it was Bill Finger writing it.
Right.
But,
yep.
If you get a chance, it's
a
really well done story.
Does Gordon know that Wayne is Batman? Because I don't read DC since last century. So is there a story that we can find that Gordon knows that Wayne is Batman, or that never happened?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does Commissioner Gordon know that Bruce Wayne is Batman?
I don't read the modern stuff. I haven't read Batman since like 2015. But during that period, they kind of would hint at it, but then also hint that he doesn't know, and hint that he knows, but he really doesn't care. So it's kind of dependent on the individual writer.
Okay.
So more than likely, if he knew, he didn't say. So
yeah,
he didn't even know Barbara was Batgirl for years. So.
Yeah, and there is a I can't remember what storyline. I want to say Hush or No Man's Land, but Batman even says that Gordon's such a good detective. If he wanted to know who he was, he would have found out by now. So yeah, there's also the possibility that he really just doesn't care. He just thinks of Batman as Batman.
I remember as a kid reading a great exchange in the Avengers when Iron Man and Thor admitted they knew who each other was, each other's secret identities. Because Iron Man, Tony Stark runs into a closet and comes out as Iron Man, and Donald Blake's heading towards the same closet, and he says, "Hey, if you find Thor in there,
please
tell him I said hello." Or you find
oh man! Oh please, seriously.
Because they didn't reveal their secret identities in the Avengers for a long time. Nobody knew who anybody was. They were just there, just show up in costume.
No.
Yeah, one of my favorite Spider-Man stories of all time is the issue of either Fantastic Four or Spider-Man, where he tries out for the Fantastic Four, but he doesn't want anyone to know who he is, so he has a paper grocery bag over his head.
Oh yeah, he did that a couple times.
Yeah.
There's a great Justice League story too around the after the 100s. It was in a Super Spectacular. It was a Christmas story. When everybody gets the call that something's going on, I think the Key was the big villain at the time, and Hal Jordan is stepping out of his bathtub, and his ring's going off for a Justice League call. He steps on the soap and slips and hits the back of his head and goes unconscious. So the ring flies out and catches John Stewart and says, "There's a League emergency. We need to go." And Stewart, changes into Green Lantern and flies up to the watchtower. They were surprised. They were like, "Hey, what happened to your skin color?" Oh well, the other one couldn't stand in, so I'm here today.
Yeah, he stepped in the same machine Lois Lane did in that one issue.
Exactly. Lois Lane 119. Very, very difficult to find.
Yeah. Every time they
even
change
if you wanted
the character's skin color,
Even
I
if
just
you
go back to
wanted
that
to,
one issue. I'm like,
it would be great to own just because of the hysterical reference. Yeah. It's like that issue of Archie. That's who was it that was talking about that on? Were we talking about that on? Charles Santino was talking about that issue of Archie.
yeah,
Where that has a
Bastards.
sexual reference on the cover that was unintentional. At the time, it was all innocent. Archie's bringing. I got the cover. Give me a second. I can dig it
There's
up.
also the infamous detective comic story that was centered around the mystery of the boner back in I think the 50s. Like they're all talking, like your Batman, Robin, and the Joker are all talking about, we have to find that boner.
Giggity.
People can't take a normal boner nowadays.
Well, back then it just meant making a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did a boner.
Hey, sometimes boners are mistakes.
There you go.
That's wrong.
Off topic.
When you're in a public setting, and
Yeah. It's just a mistake.
I've got a whole file I've been building about not right comics, and we've got this one.
Yes.
Betty and Me, number 16. Archie, did you have any trouble rescuing me? I sure did, Betty. Had to beat off 3 other guys.
Yeah. And only 2 of those guys have black eyes. What happened to the third guy?
Well, he's
You
certainly
do not want to know.
He looks a little
happy.
Disappointed. That's Reggie, though. You don't
he's
want
certainly
to be Reggie.
at home with his feminine side.
There you are. Classic stuff. Now that issue is super valuable. I mean, you can't find it in good condition anywhere. I've only seen it.
Who drew that, Randy? Who's the artist on that?
I would imagine, in sheer guess on the style, would be Dan DiCarlo. But there were so many of those Archie artists that drew, they had a house style they had to hit and look as close, as close to each other as possible. But that kind of looks like DiCarlo's work to me. It's about that time that he was around and doing the majority of the stuff over there. But he was like C.C. Beck. Archie got stripped down to a basic look, and then everybody else coming in had to hit it. Even Neil Adams worked for Archie for a little while, drawing Archie comics.
No, I didn't know that.
And had to hit that style. Yeah. You can't recognize any of his stuff. because it all looks, looks like
that's
Archie.
That's what pros do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a whole file of weird covers. The World's Finest, where they're saving the woman from the canoe, and Superman's the anchor up against the tree, and he's holding on to Batman, who's hanging Robin over the edge to grab the lady from the canoe. Yeah, classic stuff.
Superman just wasn't feeling it that day.
He just wasn't. He's letting Robin do all the hard work. Yeah.
It's your turn to shine, kiddo.
Exactly.
So who's Wonder Woman with these days? Didn't she have a thing for Batman and then Superman, and what's going on with that?
Well, she's dead. Well, in one of the worlds, she's dead. Nubia is their current push, and they can't get her up past the over the 150 of the top 200 mark. They're trying to get a Black Amazon up there. They're just stumbling over their own feet. They don't know what they're doing. Well, not that.
How good is your aim? Well,
I was going to bring that up whenever there was good marketing. When I was at a convention, the last show I was at, the really cool Comic-Con, they had a gun sight company that did some marketing inside the men's rooms urinals, and they posted a target with their name on it. So say, how good is your aim?
oh my God, that is great.
Aim here. Yeah.
Well, some guys need that, though, to be honest.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Yeah.
I wrote a book about that.
Ah.
There you are, in the men's room.
Why is he jerking off? That's what
He's not. What it is, it's that it details.
Is this a book you wrote?
Yeah, I wrote and drew this.
Cool.
This
It's,
is experience, not research.
Yes, it's experience and research. I guarantee that each one of you will have been in at least one of these situations.
Yeah, at least.
Go on in.
Probably.
Try us.
Well, I'm not going to go through it now, am I?
Well, just pick one out at random.
Okay, that one.
Is that book available on
What's that?
Amazon?
Oh no, it's a patch.
It's on Amazon now. It's on Amazon now.
That one. Never ever wear light grey trousers.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
I want to know how you do research for this book.
Here's one.
This
Standing in the corner with a notepad. Oh yeah. I see.
This
When you
happens.
get to a
This is
certain age, it just comes naturally.
Yeah. So anyway, check it out.
Is that available on Amazon?
It's on Amazon right now.
Cool. It's The Men's Room by Glenn B. Fleming.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good present for girls to buy their fellas.
I don't think you've ever mentioned that book before.
I've got lots of books I've not mentioned. This one actually happened to a friend of mine with his new suit. Look at that.
Oh boy.
No.
And that happened to a friend of mine as well.
I mean,
Yeah, I've seen
He
that
turned
before.
into Billy Idol and fell in the toilet.
That's the one. Yeah, it was, my friend is actually Billy Idol.
Is he?
Oh, there you go.
Don't tell me he was at a wedding.
Glenn, somehow we actually believe you.
Why?
Why believe Glenn? If you want to.
Seen
yeah.
the old
Amazon.
baseball stadiums that used to have troughs
Yes.
that you'd urinate in, and then every once in a while, if the guys got drunk enough, they went surfing.
Yeah. I went to a Michael Jackson concert, and there were little sort of walled off areas for the guys to go and have a pee, and there was a trough, and it went all the way around.
Yeah.
But it didn't go anywhere. It just went all the way around, and
Oh,
it broke at the door. So when you got to the door, there was two waterfalls.
Oh,
It didn't.
no.
It wasn't. It just went around the trough and went onto the floor near the door.
Oh boy! Wow.
It was almost as good as the concert.
One of my worst stickers that I always find at like those throws is this is not a sink.
Yeah. He's probably got a page in there for that too.
Yes, I do. I'll find
bet
it
he
for
does.
you.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Where are we going now? Just a minute. Where is it? It talks about, there you go. It talks about Lyndon B. Johnson. Even he did it.
Well,
Yep.
Lyndon was, anyway. Lyndon was one of those unique individuals who didn't care. So
Yep. So yeah,
he had a whole different set of sensibilities. They've got a phone call of him in the White House at the desk talking to his tailor about how he needs to have his inseams fixed because it's uncomfortable. And he's hanging in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Pressing
difficult
to the
when
right.
he sits down. Yeah. It's a crazy conversation, but it's part of the transparency,
Yeah.
Nowadays, they just throw everything in boxes and take it to storage rooms over at the guy's house, and then they wait for the FBI to come in and take it. Is this your stuff? Goes in a box. Take it all to my house. Just put it in the room. Just put it in the room.
I'm still wanting to know why they thought that his wife's underwear was considered confidential documents.
You never know what you'll
Because
find.
they threw those in a box.
You never know what you'll find. Secret codes written on the inseam. You never know.
Yeah, you got to have a good look, haven't you?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's about what it
Get
was.
up
His,
to your nose.
his passport too. It's like what they need that for.
Mm.
It was an old, outdated passport too. This crazy stuff.
As I understand it, it was just a passport just for his toupee.
Could be,
Yeah. So he has a separate passport for any pets.
and that would make sense. His toupee.
I always thought it was a comb over.
I have no idea what it is, but it is very funny.
It's probably years worth of plugs and bad hair transplant.
God knows.
That's what it is. It's kind of
It
just
is
sits there
hysterical to look
and
at.
hangs over the front. Yeah, I gave up trying to do any of that a long time ago.
Yeah, I worked with a guy who had those implants, and he regretted it because when he was first going thin on top, it solved the problem. But he said himself he didn't realize at the time that God was going to make the rest go. So he's got this square. He's got this square, a 2-inch square on top of his head that he has to shave every day because there's no other. So it cost him 500 quid at the time. And now he has to take it off because he can't afford the rest.
Dear. It's I've never understood it. When I didn't even let it go. I was starting to go in my early 30s, and I could see that the forehead was getting a bit higher, and I just looked at it and thought, no, I'm not going to look like that. So I just came home one day and I'd shaved the whole thing off. And my wife was like, what the hell have you done? But I wasn't going to hang around waiting to look stupid. Do you know what I mean? I can do that on my own.
Yeah.
I just need.
My
I need
my
to get rid of
hairline's
it.
receding, and I'm just letting it.
Unfortunately, I had
Do what works. Don't get uptight about it. And there's
Yeah.
so many people that get uptight about it. So many guys, should I say, they get uptight about their hair, whether they're losing it or not, or whatever. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is,
trying
that
to
I only
cover it
keep
up
long
and fix it
because it fucks
makes
up
it
my
worse.
dad because at 25 he was already completely bald.
Mm.
So me being 29 now, I can just stick him up on one. And be like,
I was
"I beat
unfortunate.
you."
It'll
I
make
was
you look
unfortunate
harder,
because
mate.
I had, yeah. Just get it off.
Both of my grandparents, everybody on my dad's side had the same crown of hair. That was
Yeah.
it. When it started running, it's like, it's
Right,
just
ride
gonna go.
Ride a
There's nothing
motorbike for 10 years as well, and that'll soon wear it all off.
Well, my dad always blamed working outside with a fuel oil soaked stocking cap. I knew that wasn't completely right. But, Monica's grandfather kept promising that we could run out to a farm, and he had the solution to grow back hair, and that was cow manure. So you wear cow manure for a
No,
couple of
thank
weeks,
you.
your hair
You
will all
you
grow
look
back.
great, but nobody ever stood next to you.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every photograph was on your own.
I said that's a load of shit right there. And anyway. Hey everybody, thanks for listening in. This is the Sunday Funnies for the 4th of September. We're past the top of the hour. We could probably run a couple bumps while we all catch our breath for a minute and come back and actually talk about comics.
All right, those exist.
Yes, this isn't a stand-up show. This is about comics, actually.
Well, Glenn's got a bad habit of steering the conversation in all sorts of strange.
It's always,
it's
always
my
Glenn's
fault. It's all my fault. Yeah. Well, I'll steer it back. Some of the best artists, and Russell know these ever, are people like Frank Bellamy and Ron Embleton and Don Lawrence and Mike Noble, British artists, absolutely superb. But you've seen the work, Randy, on Thunderbirds and things like that.
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful. So they're amongst my favourites. But I would probably put Kirby at the top. But probably Kirby at the top of the American artists. But because those people running close, I think. The thing that Kirby wins with is his creative, his concepts and things. I think that's why he's the ultimate one.
Yeah, I was seeing on Facebook where everybody was talking about their Mount Rushmore of famous comic artists. Who was your top 4 that you would carve into the side of a mountain for, generations afterwards, after the next couple of extinction level events have, people bump into this big mountain with these huge faces, who you would have on it. So
that's what the hieroglyphics are then. They're all the favorite artists on the wall.
Well, that's what the pyramids and the Sphinx is.
That's what Hatch does in this one. In this new comic, he goes into the pyramid.
Okay.
Can you see all that on the wall?
Is that in that little that little chute that they found the door at the end of?
It might be.
Hatch in the little door at the end.
It's actually a Jeffries tube. So
it's got Star Trek there. Look
there.
Oh, look. Yeah, very good.
So it is a Jeffries tube.
I'm missing the lava core.
Let's run a couple of ads. Here we go.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Infamous gunslinger Desmond Gibbons, better known across the Wild West as the Cactus Kid, comes to the sleepy town of Clarkson. Trouble finds him in the unlikeliest of sources, the sheriff. After their conflict, the Cactus Kid finds himself inexplicably wearing the badge of a lawman. Later, while on the trail of a serial killer, he and his deputy run afoul of a powerful druid, and the events that lead to the Cactus Kid's transformation into the hulking, four-armed projectile reptile are even more than the druid bargained for. From the Wild West to current-day Los Angeles, where he meets superheroes Black Eagle and Red Hawk, and forms an uneasy alliance with the stunning but deadly Kitty Hawk. Join the projectile reptile on a journey of gunslinging druidic magic, superheroes, and artifacts. Projectile Reptile from Dojo Kun Comics, only on Indiegogo. Are you ready for the truly Wild West?
We want to remind everybody that if they have a campaign they're fulfilling, or you need to ship out some comics, to use a Gemini mailer. Best way to ship them out as safe as possible. Wrapped in cardboard, sturdy corners, ready for a little bit of postmaster abuse, I guess. Go over to GeminiComicSupply.com right now. Order your Gemini mailers, and they have a lot of different sizes that you can order there and a lot of different quantity arrangements. On your way out the door, use that coupon code RAGIN2, RAGIN, and the number 2, and they'll knock 5% off of your next Gemini mailer order. Courtesy of us folks here at the Indie Comics Network. So enjoy that.
I love the way Americans say druid.
Druid?
Druid.
What?
No, maybe
druid?
it's a West Coast, Easty Coasty thing. I don't know. It's like that in Scotland, isn't it? It's the way they say druid. Druid. Perhaps it's a druid. Perhaps aliens did it.
It's always aliens.
It's always aliens.
Actually, it goes back to that cycle again. We don't know how far technologically these people got to, or how much of it washed away, or it might have been all organic. And like everybody swears up and down, it all melted into petroleum. Who knows?
That's a good one.
And then we used it to
that's
power
what they
cars.
That's what they say fossil fuels are. It's a joke, but anyway.
It's dinosaur poop, isn't it?
The first time they looked at it under a microscope, there was organic matter in it, so they figured everything came from
Dinosaur poop.
Rotten vegetation. So.
Oh, I'm disappointed now. I really like the idea of a Tyrannosaurus Rex in my tank.
There you go. You used to sell tigers in your tank back, in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And the old Sinclair signs, I still see them around. There's one Sinclair dinosaur left. They used a brontosaurus as their logo. There's one brontosaurus left in the area, like that paper mache or a plaster brontosaurus over in Lapeer. That was out next to the road last time I seen. I mean, on display, but still taking, still out in the open. It's kind of cool to see. Who's this? What's up? No, nobody wants to take
sorry. Yes, me. Sorry.
Comic book black.
Sorry. I just wanted to. I was in the middle of doing something. I just wanted to show something we said earlier. The difference between styles. Okay, if you're gonna draw, you got to be able to do lots of different things. So I know there's lots of us here that do lots of things like advertising and marketing and apparel and all kinds of stuff. But if you're drawing comics as well, you want to be known for your one particular style. Obviously, you want to have a look and a feel, but be able to do any job that comes through the door. So there you go. There's Ben 10, which is not my style at all. And then there's like a Batman page, which is my style. So there you go. I just wanted to bring that up.
Cool. Yeah, wow. Looks great. What was that other one with the guy holding the piece of chalk in the air?
Oh, that one. That's the Everest one. Again, it's a slightly different style. It's slightly simpler. Let's go to the page with the climbing on it. There you go. There's a page with some climbing on it, and the cover.
Oh, that is nice.
Cool.
But that's all digital. I didn't do any of that traditionally. The Ben 10 stuff was digital, but the Batman stuff is inked manually. So
that's really a nice page there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it came out okay. Yeah. The colours do it really. It's picking out the climber on the white and the blues. So.
Well, he's wearing that orange for a reason.
Yeah, so they can find him when it all goes tits up
after the avalanche. Yeah, exactly. And you use it very effectively in your composition to keep track of it.
Yeah, we said this before. It reminded me of Rorschach at the end of Watchmen, the way he did the snow, but it's very nice.
Oh, that kind of thing. Thank you very much. Yeah, that kind of. Well, again, we're all. We look around us, we soak it all up. All
yeah. I'm not saying it's
every experience is an influence. Yeah,
absolutely agree.
I like it.
We soak all this stuff up, and and exactly, who was it you were saying the other day about stealing? Was it
Picasso and David Bowie?
Wally Wood used to have a famous saying: "Don't draw what you can't taste. What don't or don't." Actually, it was longer than that. Don't draw what you can't reference. Don't reference what you can't trace. Don't trace what you can't steal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As long as you're not tracing over other people's artwork, it's like do whatever you need to do to get the job done. That's what a real pro will do. It's what Neil Adams said. It's like if an artist turns around and tells you they've never traced before, they're lying. Okay, you've got to get a job done. Okay, but that doesn't mean that you trace other people's work. That's not on. That's bad form.
We were saying last week we all have a light box around here somewhere, and we've all used it.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier today. Now, when I have an advertising piece that I have to draw or some sort of reference where I'm using a more realistic style, I'll pop a picture in off of Bing or wherever and just trace it in Photoshop.
If you have to do a very hard pose, you just in Clip Studio, you just load a 3D model, pose it, and
trace right over it.
Trace right over it, adjust it where you need it, and go for it.
Cool. I think the only thing that you should the danger aspect of a lot of these things is tracing too much or relying too much on those tools.
Oh, absolutely.
Will mean that it will stilt the flow of your storytelling. Okay, so if you rely on I'm not saying you shouldn't use them because I use 3D stuff. Okay, if you rely on that, it will stilt your storytelling. You have to be able to come up with those positions, those scenarios, those three-dimensional elements. They have to be winging around in your head before you get them down on the paper or before you get them down on the screen. And then if there's a tool where you think that's not quite working for me, I'm going to use a 3D environment there just to help me out, then that's cool. That's good. It all works. And it also means that the final piece looks that little bit more. It's more approachable to the eye, as it were. It fools the eye that little bit better. But be careful, artists out there that like just use photographs or just use 3D.
They've been doing it forever with that photo obscura thing they did in the Middle Ages.
Oh yeah,
all that sort of stuff. So they've been doing it forever.
Mind you, now the AI can make your comics for you, can't it?
Yeah. Whole nother story. That goes back to the start of editorial cartooning and cartooning drawing in general. They used to have to take photographs because they couldn't reproduce them, reproduce them in the newspapers. Take a photograph under a light table and trace it out in order to put it in the newspaper so that there was an illustration in the newspaper page. And comics come right off of that, as they figured out the more exaggerated they drew the politician, the more papers they sold.
Yeah.
I mean, if you drew him normal, you sold some papers, but if you drew him looking like a pig, you sold a lot more.
Caricature,
yeah.
Oink,
And that started the whole editorial cartoons, which led into comic strips, which led into comic adventure strips, which led into
and that's like Mort Drucker, isn't it?
I
think he's the best mad artist. That's my opinion. But there's a particular page I've seen of John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever where he's walking down the street, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's so good at doing caricatures. He did Star Trek, didn't he? In Batman, he did everything, didn't he? Mort Drucker with Jack Davis and all those people, and they're just wonderful caricatures rather than cartoons, aren't they?
That's part of the regret that you don't see Mad Magazine out there and regularly looked at anymore, because Gaines, like Lee, had such an eye for talent that he would go through, and he did it a couple of times back when he was doing EC. He went out and found the best storytellers he could find, the best comic sequential artists he could find. When he did Mad, he went out and found the best humor artists he could find, the best cartoonists he could find. And everybody that worked on that, and that's why Mad was as big as it was for as long as it was because he had such a variety of artists working in different styles with different looks. You had everything from totally absurd with Don Martin to realistic caricatures with Mort Drucker, to realistic drawings with Dave Berg. He ran the entire spectrum, and that just kept the magazine entertaining for decades.
Speaking from the art side, the thing that sticks in my mind the most about Jack Davis was that he, whatever was happening in the frame, if the people were full length, that he would always manage to draw the soles of the shoes. He never drew anybody standing with their feet firmly on the ground. He would always be showing the sole, because he'd always draw that. He'd always draw that hole in it, you know.
Yeah, the almost the and sign.
Yeah,
on the front part of their shoe all the time. That wear. Absolutely. Yeah.
This
Well, it's just like Don Martin. He'd always draw the front of people's feet bent over or bent up all the time.
Well, I've told you the greatest sound effect ever was Don Martin. When two
the
guys
great sound effects.
There was one strip where there was a guy, and he was in New York somewhere, and he's on top of the apartment, and he's outside drinking beer or something with his vest on. There's a big speech bubble, and it said, and he's obviously several floors up in the air, this guy, and the speech bubble said, stop, or I'll shoot. And it goes bang, bang, and these two people land, and because the policeman has fired his gun in the air and shot this guy on his veranda, and the sound effect was flobber-dap. And that to me is the greatest ever sound effect, flobber-dap. Two people in the ground.
I was at Barnes and Noble, a big bookstore chain here, a couple of years ago, and ended up catching a boxed set, and a beautiful set, everything that Don Martin had done for Mad Magazine.
Ooh.
That was hours of just, some of it I had read before, some of it I just never remembered, but it was just a sheer joy to sit there and watch.
Well, I've got the entire run of Mad on a PDF, but it's on an external hard drive I can't access.
Yeah. I had a buddy, a collector friend of mine that had run across an entire box of Mads in a set collection he had bought from somebody's attic. And I had to sit him down here in the basement for a couple of months just to air them out. because they had that hard must attic smell. But they're right during that cherry period of the 60s, late 60s to mid 70s, when everybody was just running on just all cylinders and hitting it. Just classic stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
who's the other guys? And
great
somebody Angelo or somebody Angelo
Torres.
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's
Torres.
it. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, it's fabulous.
Everybody Gaines didn't hire anybody that was a slacker.
No.
You know, even Sergio even walked in for a day and drew in the little gutters that were hilarious.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
just incredibly classic stuff. And you know, a lot of that material, and swinging back to Sunday Funnies and what we love, a lot of that material is sitting in boxes and retailers, just gathering dust. Nobody knows how good it is or how great it is. They just need to pick it up and read it. You know,
it's fabulous stuff.
And the humor in that is the majority of the humor in there is timeless. It's long before everything had to be political. Everything was just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Dave Berg would always look at something that was totally familiar in you know, right down to everyday life, you know, all the way to the fantastic, like I said, with Don Martin or the guy Phobius who did Spy versus Spy. Just some crazy inventive stuff.
Oh yeah,
really now, you know, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. But there was a good erosion with the magazine over the years, as all of these great cartoonists passed, and they were replaced by other freelancers who would come in here and there. Some of them were really good, but the majority not at the same level as what Gaines had found back, you know, in the 50s and 60s to 70s.
I used to love the fake ads.
Usual gang of idiots. Yeah. Used to like the parody songs that they would write to the tune of whatever big song was out that day.
All Weird Al.
Funny song. Yeah. I'm sure that's where Weird Al got a lot of his inspiration from.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. That a lot of people got a lot of inspiration. Those Mads and those ECs too that he did before that, because I don't think you would see horror and filmmaking even at the cinema at the level that it is now if a lot of these directors, producers, even artists on there hadn't read those ECs when they were younger, especially the horrific stuff.
Yeah, a lot of them admit it too. I've seen John Carpenter, George Romero, you know, Toby Hooper all talking about their love for
Stephen King and Spielberg both mention ECs very fondly. Yeah. What a great high point in comics there.
Yeah.
Just great stuff.
Then it all went away with the Comics Code Authority.
There's that to capsulate it, get a Cliff Notes version of it. Yeah, that's what happened. That and they wanted to slam all of the really good paying comics that Gaines was doing and Burroughs was doing off of the spiral rack. So they banned the words horror and crime off
Weird
of the comics.
Was another one that was banned.
Weird. Yeah.
Well, that's happening today, isn't it? There's certain words you're not allowed to say because they'll get cancelled and all this palaver.
All the time, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You know, sticks and stones. You know.
Exactly. Well, nowadays I just watched a Perch video where he was talking about the old Marvel What the series that was done. That was a humor book, and how nowadays you couldn't do anything remotely like that because nobody has a sense of humor. And the majority of the people writing the stuff would end up making it political, and you'd piss off half of your audience in whichever direction you wanted to go. And that really good parody books are just not done anymore. I mean, Don Chin has done some great stuff lately, but it's very few and far between, you know.
It's an exception to the rule.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, you're just watching like comedy shows and movies and stuff. It's just not funny.
No.
I stopped watching situation comedies back in the 80s though, because I didn't like the way that they were written. And very rarely will I'd sit and watch Third Rock from the Sun. That was funny.
I love that. That's
because
hilarious.
that was a whole different type of comedy though. That was way off kilter comedy. Raising Hope.
I used to like watching Married with Children.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
and a lot of that still holds up, but you have to look at it under a non-PC microscope.
Well,
because
I don't think I'm very.
That's the whole
so
point of the
much of that.
show.
You can go up on YouTube now and see the insults that Al Bundy used to do to the customers in his shoe shop, and they are hilarious, but they're totally offensive.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the classic is Benny Hill, isn't it?
Very much so. Yeah.
It's just funny. It's just funny. It's harmless. It's funny. And if you're offended, well, don't watch it.
All of that stuff's available. You go over the Married with Children's are all available for streaming. The like I said a couple of times, I watched the entire run of Laugh-In. There were a couple of episodes in there that were just startlingly offensive. Just amazing that how different people treated humor back then as we do today. Just night and day. You know, all those old hee-haws are just hilarious.
Here in Portugal, we are having a rerun of Family Ties. So today is here in Portugal. We still have free speech, and we have some reruns of all comedy stuff. And Family Ties is one of the best ever. And a lot of people might be very offensive of what Archie's saying to his wife and whatever, but it's always fun. People just lost. I don't say interest in comedy, but they don't understand comedy anymore. Everything is offensive, and Family Ties is fantastic. Still fantastic in the 21st century.
People just don't know how to laugh anymore.
Yeah, one of the best comedians.
Make fun of themselves. That's
one of the best comedians around at the moment is Ricky Gervais, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's really funny. When he's talking about real women, the ones with wounds.
And he says what he wants and what he true. So yeah, comedy and fact together.
I know what I like, and I like what I know.
Well, comedy is like rock and roll. You know, you get those years where you just lose all of these icons, it seems, all at once.
Yeah.
Last year before, comedy had that happen to them with Dennis Miller and all the way up to Gilbert Gottfried passing. There was just big comedian after big comedian after big comedian that was just gone. And that's hurt a lot of the state of comedy out there. Well, that and the fact that nobody has a sense of humor. Nobody does campus comedies anymore. You have to go to a casino in order to hear any type of risque comedy anymore.
I mean, 2016 was the big year, wasn't it? When everybody, David Bowie and
that was a huge bad
Glenn
year for rock and
Fry,
roll.
George
Prince,
Michael, Prince.
Yeah,
they all left, didn't they? Lots of them.
George, we love you.
Everybody has their favorites.
Yeah.
I almost. You know how you're on Facebook. Maybe this doesn't happen to you. Maybe it does. Or you get on Facebook and somebody says something that ticks you off, and you sit there and you end up writing this long diatribe until you realize that you're writing stuff that nobody's going to agree with you on. That nobody's gonna. You're just going to spark more problems than the points that you're making. You just go through and erase it. You know.
Yeah, just delete it. Yeah.
All the time.
I did that recently when somebody was talking about Big Bang Theory.
Oh, that show.
Yeah.
There you go. See Mitch's reaction? Oh, that show. And go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I do that on purpose sometimes just to get my anger out. I'll type it in, knowing that I'm not going to post it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not going to say that. Not going to say that. Where I was pointing out that a lot of people, especially people in the business, and this was somebody that was in the business that was talking about how great it was. A lot of people look at the Big Bang Theory the same way a lot of African Americans look at the old Amos and Andy show. That was incredibly well written. It was about two black guys in New York, and a lot of it is stereotype. Just horribly stereotypical humor to the culture.
Yeah.
And it's well written, it's well performed, and it's well done, but you're never going to see it around television anymore.
Yeah.
Even in the nostalgia channels won't play it because it's so stereotypically offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I was going to say that's what Big Bang Theory is going to be for anybody that's into comics here in a couple of years, once people, have enough time to step away from it and take a look at what it really was. It was designed to degrade and demean comic fandom.
It was
not comic fandom, but just genre fandom in general.
It was the massacre of nerdkind.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep. So, just like 2.5 Men was meant to point the finger at toxic masculinity with the Charlie Sheen character.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that show's still freaking funny.
Yes. 2.5 Men.
Yeah,
Sign
but
me up.
but again, it's because the Charlie Sheen character is so obviously offensive.
That's because guys being guys is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you know you're not gonna act like that.
No, it's like it's saying something ridiculous down the pub, isn't it? It's
that man
it's
is a pig.
Yeah.
Like, screw that motherfucker. I don't care about him. You know, glad it's not me. That's the irony and fun of it.
The actress had to learn how to swim. Yeah, we were there already. I've been enjoying the Tears of the She-Hulk. Been there too. What up? What up? What up? Atrocity. Hard pass on the culture.
You're a long
wars.
way
That's
back.
where we left off.
Yeah, that's hours ago.
Yeah, I
That's
am, aren't I? There we
that's
are.
last week.
Hours ago.
So
God,
Best Writer
what's going on?
is a mix. Yeah, we've been there too. Mike Jimmy, no hood today.
No hoods.
Threads left unresolved are only good if there is an outlet to explore it later. Yeah. Good morning.
We've done all this.
Chris,
We've been there.
That somebody needed to explain that to Chris Claremont, I think. Getting back to comics. There's evidence that they included the annual flooding of the Niles and a series of flood-controlled canals and levees to use rafts and water to help move them. The big stones. I want to see that happen.
Yeah.
Walt Simonson, George Perez. Yep. Hello, everyone. Linda in the house. Hello, Linda. Hope you're doing. Oh, that's your wife.
Wait.
Marvy.
Yep.
Linda's in the house.
Always there.
Hello, Marv's
Fletcher
wife.
Hanks.
How you doing? Fletcher Hanks was a madman. Who is Fletcher Hanks? I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't
We're
know
not
who
knowing.
he is? Oh,
Nope.
man. He's a guy that they discovered about 10 years ago. He used to work like in the golden age of comics, and his comics they're hilarious.
We're talking an illustrator?
Yeah, writer and illustrator.
Oh, they're hilariously terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, that's the guy that did the Golden Age, the Star Chaser, omnipotent character, and the other Jungle Girl character.
Yeah.
It was just outrageously. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
who he is. I've got a
Yeah.
couple of books of his works. The name just didn't click. Not enough coffee, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hail everyone, Agent Zero in the house. Good to see you there. Hey, yo, Pops. Hey, Pops, how you doing? John Silvestri's in the house. Study the reference and then draw it freehand. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Fletcher Hanks. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great old stuff. Fantagraphics collected all of Fletcher Hanks materials and released it in paperback. It's nice volume, especially if you need something to just, you want some talk about brain altering comics. There we go.
Right.
Fletcher, some of the best geniuses are not in their right mind anyway. So.
No, that guy definitely was not.
Mike, Jimmy, what do you have up here? Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is him. Stardust.
Stardust.
Stardust, that's it. Yeah.
The
And who was
super
the other?
wizard.
Infantimo, something like that.
Oh, my
That was
God.
the girl. Yeah, the madness. That was Fletcher Hanks. Basil Wolverton also did Starhawks for a long time. He drew the really super bizarro faces in the early Mads.
Yeah.
And did a series of a lot of his illustrations they ended up using for covers for the Plop comic book that DC did. It was called Plop. That was a book Sergio had a lot of work in, but every cover for years had a Basil Wolverton face on it because it was such, people with large nostrils or extended noses or with super droopy eyes or whatever.
Warts all over their faces.
Warts all over their faces. Yeah. But Basil ended up doing some very esoteric comics, and the Starhawks strip was really crazy. And then he ended up doing religious illustrations for the rest of his life. So found religion, and he ended up drawing. I think he drew a comic about the Book of Revelation. That's pretty incredibly hard to find. Yeah. But it's like Bill Gaines's dad, MC. He got out of DC and did picture stories from the Bible. And I'm wondering if he wasn't working on some sort of penance after printing Wonder Woman for a couple of years during her fetish tied up days,
Well, surprisingly, those books really didn't sell.
Most of what?
The picture stories from the Bible, most of those, well, almost all of them didn't sell.
Well,
I wonder
unfortunately,
why.
despite what you think, they did sell. It was the most reprinted comic until they didn't sell. They didn't sell through comic shops. They sold on the newsstands, and they sold in religious bookstores. He ended up going through multiple reprints of that book.
I've always heard that they didn't sell that much.
And you can't find it anywhere. It's really dry. The book is it's picture stories from the Bible, and they didn't try to over dramatize anything. But it's not like the Keystone comic adaptions, which are really, I won't say they're incredibly good. They're really well illustrated. Who was it? Horse? No, not Horse. Kyle Ritter. Not Kyle Ritter. Kyle Holtz did a lot of illustration for Keystone. Adapted the Book of Daniel, the Book of Revelation.
Awesome.
Yes, he is incredible. But that picture stories from the Bible was reprinted multiple times. So MC ends up dying in a boating accident, and Bill ends up inheriting his dad's work and changes the meaning of EC from educational comics to entertaining comics. And he starts doing westerns and anything out on the day except for superheroes, because he didn't care for that genre at all. And then he decided to start making comics that he wanted to read.
Fair enough.
That started suspense stories, weird tales.
Right. What you know.
Right. What you know. Right. What you want to read.
Yeah.
Especially.
That started the entire EC line there. But comics history is such an interesting chain of links added together, usually built off of the previous person being screwed or whatever, and deciding to take the art form in the next step, the next direction, just the next link as we go along. Very much like crowdfunding now is a whole nother link, and there will be more links after that, because comics as an art form will end up being eternal. I think it'll always be around. Yes. Quickly reaching its 100th anniversary here pretty quick. Somebody needs to do a little bit more research on that to see when the first editorial cartoon was done. I think it was in the 24, 25, something like that.
Before that.
Cartoons Charles Nast was doing them in the late 1800s.
Nash,
Tim Quinn does a rather good talk on that, editorial talk on that, where it goes back into cartoons as we know it, not just like drawings on walls, but goes back into the mid 1800s, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. And as soon as the printing presses were able to print pictures.
I'm sure I've seen some cartoons from
I'm sure you're right.
1860s about Lincoln.
As soon as you could take the piss out of someone.
Yeah, I think so too. Now that you mention it. Yeah. So I used to know a guy here locally that collected a lot of the old Punch magazines. And those were back in the late 1800s.
Yeah. Good stuff in them.
There's
especially if you're aware of the politics of the day. It's like reading Pogo. Yeah. Pogo is genius work, but you even appreciate it more if you know the politics that's going on that he's talking about while he was doing the strip.
Yeah, there's
Doonesbury, same way.
Cartoonish stuff, like cartoonish style illustrations going back to the 1700s, 1700s.
Yeah.
I've got a great book about cartoons and stuff from the Second World War with Hitler and Mussolini and then Churchill and all these people, and it goes through the entire war, and it's all from the Daily Mirror and from the Stern and all these newspapers. It's really good, it's because it sort of plots the war, with the propaganda and the Soviet, those posters, those fantastic posters that they used to do, where everybody was made out of granite, weren't they? They're really, really chiseled people. And then you always got the British Tommy who was making a cup of tea all the time. And you get some German guy in a Panzer rolling over his head, this kind of thing. And it's really good to look at.
Bill got a book on Bill Mulder, who used to draw for the GI newspaper.
Stars and Stripes.
That would go to the boys, overseas.
They said to Jack Kirby, didn't they? They wanted him to draw for Stars and Stripes when he was in Germany in the war, and he turned it down. He said, "I don't want to draw for any damn newspaper. I want to go home." So he never appeared in it. He didn't want to do it. I get the impression that when he was young, he was a very angry man. You know what I mean?
That's Jack, though. Give me a gun. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
Show me what to shoot at. There you go. Just do it. Get it done. Get it out. Very much a get it done, get it out kind of guy.
Yeah, because I'll tell you the story about when he went across the river in the dinghy when the guy said to him, "You're Jack Kirby, you draw Captain America," and he thought he wasn't going to volunteer him across the river, but he took him, and when they climbed up the embankment and looked over, there's all these German tanks and everything, and the sergeant said to him, "Right, Kirby, you can draw. Put an X on the map where there's a tank."
Yeah.
Imagine that. But then again, why shouldn't he go in instead of the other guy? You know, so
right? Yeah. And he was shorter than most, so he had a better chance of not being seen.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I'm sure that's what they were thinking when they sent him over there to look.
Tough guy.
But the cigar smoke would have given him away.
That could have been, yeah.
There's a line of bushes. All of a sudden, you see a little cigar smoke trail.
It's that cloud over on the horizon. Yeah. It's no cloud.
To do a cartoon about that, Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Going at that.
Really good.
We should all do our own version.
If you were running a line on whether or not Scott Rosemont was going to show up today, you have lost.
Yeah.
Please send those collections right there to randyjzim@gmail.com. If you were betting, I'll take the heat. We don't really do that in case you're out there newly hired by the IRS and you're betting.
You don't illegally
betting
gamble.
is illegal in this unless you're in a casino in the state. So or unless you're playing the lottery at your local convenience store.
Yeah.
You're getting paid $601 is enough to get the IRS after you here.
Yeah. Well, you should claim all that anyway. But that's why we have accountants. That's why I love my accountant so deeply.
Oh yeah.
All of those, all that stuff you spent, that's what you call a loss. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. All right.
I just wonder how people go on with their computer drawing. Maybe you'll tell me this, Russ, with claiming for things like erasers and pencils and paper. How can you do that when you've just got your computer? What do you do?
Well, you can't. I do both.
Yeah.
Whiteout looks ridiculous on a computer screen.
Yeah, you want to try whiting out on top of a screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
No,
Trying to
what
erase.
you do is you offset the value of your computer and the screen. You do have to pay for nibs at the end of these things. So there's a regular change of nibs. I mean, I just bought a new screen earlier on this year, so that had to go through the whole tax process. I bought myself a new board, some lights. So, all the things that you do that maybe you wouldn't necessarily do while you're drawing. There you go, drawing with a pencil and an eraser. There are other costs, although it is the case. It is just generally the case that if you've got the outlay for your computer and your pen, okay, that you are then not sort of constantly rolling over inks, brushes, paper, erasers, using tools that you're wearing out. So there is an offset, but like I say, I'm getting the best of both worlds because I do both. So here you go.
Good.
The thing about digital is that it's usually a bigger investment up front, but it's easier to get back over time. Taking your pen display takes about 3 to 5 years to break down on average, or for the new generation to come out. It's worth its money because at that point, you're going to have your 300 to 4,000 euros or dollars back.
Or those old days when rapidographics used to be $28 to $30, and then you had to you actually had to get a pen cleaner. That was about another $30. That was a little pad that vibrated in order to knock the ink out of it and loosen it up so that it didn't gum up the works. Because it was, if you left your pen out overnight and exposed to the air, it took you forever to try to get the ink flowing again.
However, saying that, when you do have something that you think is going to be worth something later on, you can at least have a physical piece of artwork that you can sell.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so I've been paid for my art. Okay, I've been paid for the page or the cover or whatever. Even my own work off Only Death Can Save Us. Okay, you're kind of, by having a physical piece of work that you can sell later. Okay, and I think that actually is going to be a thing. It's going to be a bigger thing soon because
it's getting bigger all the time. Just look at any of the heritage auctions.
They're going digital. So you've got a whole bunch of art from back in the day, that are going for thousands and thousands and thousands. Right? None of us are ever going to hit those kind of marks.
Incredible amounts, yeah.
But you could definitely, at some point in the very near future, I think, where so many artists, especially comic book artists, have gone digital, this kind of stuff, which is real, has been published. Okay, I might be able to flog this for a few hundred. Okay, and that's the point, is that once you've got pages and pages and pages, you can take those pages and say, well, they're original artwork and they've been published. What more do you want? Okay, they're not, that particular one isn't a recognizable character. You're not gonna, it's not something that may sort of be worth thousands in the future, but just the fact that it's real, okay, and it is actually existing in the real world means that it will increase in value if you look after it. And so that's the plus side of that. That is the plus side of having traditional artwork, which is why that's the way that I work, is that if I think it's something that, I'm just going to have to knock out quickly, I tend to do it digitally. It's because you're absolutely right. Digital is really quick. It's clean. It's easy to edit if you need to. Boom, 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 out it goes. But if it's something like my Batman work, my Doctor Who work, my own work, that gets inked traditionally in the hope that somebody will find me valuable at some point in time.
Yeah.
And Russ, since you're there, tell folks how they can find you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, you can find me at russleach.com. There you go. You can find out all about my latest books, see sample artwork, Only Death Can Save Us, latest run of Batman, all that stuff. You can find me at russleach.com.
All right. And we'll probably talk more about tools and drawing and all that, hopefully, on Comics by Night. That's Friday morning at 5 a.m. here on the Indie Comics Network.
I might actually be able to join that coming Friday.
Happy to have you aboard, buddy. Mitch, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me right here, Linktree/Celtic Cross Studio. You can find my
just as he freezes.
Oh no.
The sound. Maybe you're ready.
Quick.
His dog must
move
have knocked
to the
one of
AI.
the wires.
Do it now.
It's aliens.
Must be aliens.
Must be.
You're frozen. You're frozen, Mitch. Come back. Marv, tell folks how they can find you.
Well, hashtag Gabriel Reaper of Souls, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. So that's easy. Thank you.
Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also find me on this program on Sundays and Randy's new program on Friday mornings. And you can also find me on Thursday afternoons on Comics Unlimited podcast on the Ted Davis Artistry channel.
Mitch just dropped out.
And at the local AA meeting.
Yes. I'm hosting it next week.
Hello, my name's Glenn, and I am an alcoholic. Hello, my name's Russ. It's fun being here.
Mike, Jimmy, tell folks how they can find you.
Yes. You can find everything about me up on my Linktree /various events. And of course, on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, I do the live show Hung on Animation, where I work on the animated pilot for Loughran. On Saturdays, I will be at Sketchy Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, drawing with a bunch of guys, just having fun. He's one of them. And Yeah.
Forgot about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I do too every single time.
I need to start working on stuff that I want people to see so I can come on and draw while you're on Sketchy Saturdays.
Yeah, no, you're always free to hold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, C did it, so you might as well too.
This is me suspended from a black spider web. It's going to be in a book. Anyway. Yeah. All right. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You've been watching the Sunday Funnies for the 4th of September, 2022. We deeply appreciate you being here. Mitch has sent me a private message which says my dog knocked over my router. We knew that happened, Mitch. We knew that happened.
Dog ate my homework.
Blame the dog.
Yeah.
Blame the dog.
It's a much better excuse than Scott Rosema will have.
There he is.
It's all good, buddy.
Okay.
Sorry about that. My dog knocked over my router.
Yeah, that's what we just said that you sent that to me in a private message. We said it's a much better excuse than what Scott Rosema would give us. So, you have anything else to add, Mitch, about where they can find you?
Yes, Linktree/Celtic Cross Studios. You can find my website, my online store. If you're interested in my books, my apparel, and you can find me Tuesdays on Dispatches from Outside the Box here on ICN,
the Indie Comics Network. Sometimes even on the Zimcast.
Sometimes on the Zimcast.
Sometimes on the Zimcast. 8 p.m. Wednesday nights, Zimcast. I host that also, where we talk a little bit more seriously about the industry and get a little bit more opinionated. Anyway.
More?
And then, what? More.
More?
Then, more opinionated. Absolutely.
Lord.
They're turning the comic characters gay. Anyway.
There's more ranting on Zimcast.
Then Friday mornings, like we mentioned before, we've got a new program that had pretty decent numbers for a first time out, and for us only mentioning it for a couple of times, called Comics by Night, where we're going to talk more about the tools and the teaching and the inner workings of working in this industry, this wonderful art form that we love, how to do it, how to get it done, and why, or why not.
Why not?
Why not?
That's Comics by Night, Friday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch us live, the chat will be open. We're looking for questions and suggestions all the time. So you're welcome to get up early Friday morning, jump in that chat, and share the show with us as we talk about this wonderful art form that we love so much. Shadowhawk Talks. Hail all. Happy Sunday, Shadowhawk.
Hey, Shadow.
Hope you're doing all right. Named after Valentino superhero. We don't see much around anymore.
Don't see much of Valentino around anymore.
I don't know what to tell you there. We wish you all the best. Everybody have a great week. This has been the Sunday Funnies. We're going to go out the same way that we came in almost, and with our opening. And we wish you the best. We'll see you soon. Any last words? Oh, if you get a chance, get out there and visit your local retailer and check through those long boxes. These retailers have been going through a particularly rough time ever since the bug hit. And now a lot of their distributors have flooded them with a lot of toys and statues that they've ordered over the last year and a half. And a lot of these retailers are in over their heads. They've already been struggling week to week, and now it's gotten even worse. So go over to your local retailer, visit his long boxes, go through those magazine boxes, look for those great old mads. And they probably only have $3 or $4 marked on them, depending upon your retailer. And you won't regret the amount of entertainment and fun that you'll get from those products. Or go through those quarter boxes or those dollar boxes, those $2 boxes. Well worth your time.
And don't forget to do your research, because you'll find that the answers are different than what you've been told.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Scott Roseman don't need no reason. Okay.
That's right.
That's right.
No, actually, that's you're calling him a meatball? That could be.
Come on, Scott. Get your
meatball don't work that way. Meatball doesn't work that way, folks.
Scott Roseman don't work that way. Come on.
This is Rosema right there. All right, everybody. See you soon. See you next week. We'll be back again for Sunday Funnies, 9 a.m. on Sundays. We'll see you then, if not before. Hopefully before. So stop by. Say hello. I'm always available at randyjzim@gmail.com, thezimcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. Look around. Everywhere, pretty much except Twitter. I'm not over there very much because Twitter is a cesspool of hate.
It is.
We'll see everybody soon. Oh, and hey, this Zimcast, next Zimcast we're going to do, I'm looking at doing a fake studio backdrop.
Oh.
Just to try to make us look official. So you might want to tune in on Wednesday to see that. It's going to be classic.
You're going to put a tie on?
No, I'll have a fake studio backdrop.
I want to see you in a suit and tie. Tapping
be great.
Today's news. Tapping the letters on the desk.
If we had the time and discussion, I'd jump into Facebook and pull out me in a suit and tie. I do wear that. I do have a suit that actually fits me.
Ooh.
Now.
Cool.
But anyway, that's a whole nother story. See everybody soon. Take care.
How's Vidania?
See ya. Now on Sunday. That's the wrong one again. We want this.
The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
And who's your favorite Marvel Comics hero? Mine is Superman. Remember the motto? With great power comes great responsibility.